Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about taking fascinating, complex topics and breaking them down into presentations that are clear, dynamic, and hopefully a lot of fun.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a pretty wild question. What on earth connects a tropical butterfly, a cannibalistic cricket, and a global human community? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a very strange joke, but the answer actually reveals some of the most fundamental rules of survival on our entire planet.
So the first most obvious connection is that they all share a name, Mormon. But that's really just scratching the surface. The real link is this deep underlying code for survival and cooperation that incredibly seems to operate across the insect world and even in our own human societies.
All right, let's start with case number 1, the common Mormon butterfly. This thing is an absolute master of illusion, living out its life in the tropics of Asia.
So, where did that name come from? Well, it's actually a bit of a quirky history lesson. Back in the 19th century, British naturalists were out in the field and they noticed something odd. There would be one male butterfly, but he'd be surrounded by a whole harem of females that all looked surprisingly different from each other. So they cheekily named it after the Mormon community back in the US, which at the time was known for practicing polygamy.
But how does this butterfly survive? Well, it all comes down to this brilliant strategy called Batesian mimicry. And you can think of it as a huge bluff. See, the Mormon butterfly itself isn't toxic at all, but it pretends to be. And when you're a hungry bird trying to decide on lunch, looking dangerous is just as good as being dangerous.
And this is where the deception gets truly incredible. The females have evolved into these different versions, or what scientists call morphs. You've got the Cyrus morph, which just looks like the harmless male, basically an easy snack for a predator. But then you have the Stichius and Romulus morphs. These have developed these absolutely stunning wing patterns that perfectly copy two other species of butterfly that are actually toxic. Birds learn fast. Don't eat the red and white pattern. And so our clever little imposter gets to fly right on by, totally safe. It's genius.
Now here's the kicker. This whole complex defense system isn't just some random accident. It's all orchestrated by one single, incredibly powerful gene called the double-sex gene. It acts like a master switch. When it flips, it turns on this whole cascade of changes, wing shape, color, pattern, the whole shebang, transforming a totally vulnerable butterfly into a convincing, untouchable fraud.
Okay, so we've seen deception on an individual level. Now let's scale way up to group survival with our second subject, the Mormon cricket, a flightless insect native to the American West.
If you've ever seen these things, it's unsettling. They form these massive migratory bands that can stretch for miles, just devouring everything in their path. But the reason they march together isn't what you'd probably guess. It's not about finding a new home or greener pastures. Nope, the reality is far more desperate.
And here's the brutal truth of it all. Out there in that swarm, the most convenient, abundant, and nutritious food source is each other. Every single cricket is starving for two things, protein and salt. And their neighbors just happen to be perfect little mobile packages of those exact two nutrients.
So this creates this absolutely terrifying feedback loop. It's a forced march that's driven by the constant, relentless threat of cannibalism. The crickets right behind you are trying to eat you, so you have to move forward to escape. But of course, the crickets in front of you are doing the exact same thing for the exact same reason. And the result? A relentless, self-propelled wave of insects just bulldozing its way across the landscape.
Okay, let's make a hard pivot. From a group literally driven apart by hunger, we now turn to our third and most surprising example, a human community that is famous for its powerful cohesion. We're talking about members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, often referred to as Mormons.
Now, research from the Pew Center shows a truly exceptional level of religious commitment in this group. A remarkable 69% of Mormons are classified as highly religious. Now, to put that in perspective, that is more than double the U.S. national average, which is just 30%. It's a huge difference. And this commitment, it's not just talk. It translates into massive amounts of community service. The average active Mormon volunteers around 430 hours every year. That is an astonishing 7 times the average for other Americans. It's a culture that is really built around organized collective service. So what's the result of this highly social, health-conscious lifestyle, which, by the way, includes abstaining from alcohol and tobacco? Well,
it leads to a pretty stunning outcome, a major longevity advantage. A huge study out of UCLA found that Mormon men live nearly a full decade longer than their peers, and women live over 5 years longer. Those are incredible numbers.
And you know what? It turns out there's a biological reason for this powerful group cohesion. Neuroscientists put devout Mormons in an fMRI scanner and watched their brains as they experienced spiritual feelings. And they found that a specific part of the brain lit up, the nucleus accumbens. This is the exact same region that's associated with reward, with love, with motivation. It suggests that for believers, being part of the group isn't just a social choice, it's biologically rewarding.
So, let's recap. We have a deceptive butterfly, a cannibalistic cricket, and a highly cooperative human community. What in the world is the unifying thread here? Well, it all comes down to a shared logic, a hidden code for cooperation that connects them all.
You know, when you lay it all out like this, a pattern just jumps out at you. All three of these systems rely on a kind of code. For the butterfly, the code is genetic, and it signals danger with its wings. For the cricket, the code is instinctual, and its constant movement signals, don't eat me. And for the humans, the code is cultural, signaling who's in the group through shared behaviors and beliefs. And the result is the same, coordinated group action. Whether it's driven by the negative pressure of fear, like with the crickets, or by the positive pressure of reward, like with the humans.
What this all reveals, I think, is that just beneath the surface, life often uses the same fundamental strategies to survive and thrive. The butterfly, the cricket, and this human community, they're all following a script. One script is written by DNA, another by hunger, and a third by belief. It's just a powerful reminder that we are all part of these larger systems, governed by codes we're only just beginning to figure out. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question. What hidden scripts are you following in your own life every day?